I just think it's the most interesting thing there is. A good song can be touching, very illuminating, very powerful little gem story. I'm Jim Terr. I'm a songwriter, and I want to share with you in this series called Song and Story Weekly, which is actually going to be 4 times a week, the joy of songwriting. You know, I'm not sure many people think about it, but except songwriters, but we listen to songs all day, every day. We appreciate it. We're touched by them at best. And we don't think much about how they're written, or we don't think about writing them. And it's actually a fascinating craft. I aspire to write particularly country hits like Tom T. Hall and Bobby Braddock have consistently. That's kind of my brass ring. I want to share with you some songs I've written and recorded, some of which I think are pretty good, and I've had a little success, and give some background. I always think it's interesting with regard to anything, songs or movies or anything, to hear how it was put together, how the thought came about, what the considerations were. I just think songwriting is about the most fun you can have. And the rewards are great if you get a good hit country song cut by somebody else, in my case. For the first 31 episodes here, I'm just going to take 31 songs from this book that I wrote, actually way back in 1988, called You Got to Be Stupid to Sing Country Music, and Other Unusual Song Lyrics by Jim Terr. I hope you'll enjoy this series. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to have a new song every day, background on the writing, the recording, whatever. And then on Saturday, particularly, I'll emphasize more the songwriting considerations, so that the Saturday installments could be used as a forum for thinking about your own songwriting or working on it as a group with your family. I think that'd be a great activity. So welcome, and let's get to it, and here we go. And here we are again in the backyard in Las Vegas, New Mexico, in the beautiful golden hour, selected especially to maximize my fading good looks. This is our Saturday song. Saturday's the day that I promised to talk more about songwriting, so that the stuff might be more applicable to a workshop. And again, I kind of apologize because I don't know how much I have to say about the writing of this song. The song is called I Love You, George. And it was a tribute, and a very heartfelt tribute, to George Jones, who passed away a few months ago and really was a very beloved country singer. In case you're not familiar with him, he had an incredible style. And in fact, one of the songs that really killed me, He Stopped Loving Her Today, considered by many to be the greatest country song of all time, written by Bobby Braddock, who I've mentioned here a few times. And it turns out that many of the songs I recorded over the years were written by Bobby Braddock, and I didn't even know that at the time. So this is why I kind of worship Bobby Braddock, because he co-wrote that song and many others I like so well, and I hope to interview him. Anyway, I Love You, George. The only thing I can say about it technically, songwriting-wise, is that I think it came to me in a big rush, because I never would have thought of this rhyme scheme. I don't even know if there's a name for this rhyme scheme, but I'd like to take the first verse. Take George Jones. Well, this is a takeoff, of course, on Take My Wife. Please, take my wife. Take George Jones. Please, take him to that Opry they call the Met. You ain't seen nothing yet till you've seen George in a pair of tights, singing with a woman in the helmet and horns all night. And so I recorded it. People liked it. It got featured in a movie. In fact, this is about the only substantial, one of a couple cases of any substantial money I ever made in this business of songwriting. And this will be your possibly valuable information or encouragement on songwriting for today, Saturday. A friend of mine that I knew in L.A. decades prior, prior to the time of this book, was a record producer named Gary Getzman. So I left L.A., this was a few years later now, and I was watching a movie I think called Something Wild, and I was thinking how interesting and how great the music was in there. It was a very kind of scary movie, but it had a very wild selection of music. And at the end I saw the name Gary Getzman, music supervisor. Well, the music supervisor is the person who's in charge of not composing the music, but getting the existing music that you hear in the background. It was a wild selection, and I got in touch with him to touch base with him, and he said, hey, I'm coming out to New Mexico, I'm doing a movie. He was working on a remake of the Brigitte Bardot film called And God Created Woman. The director was Roger Vadim, who was married to Brigitte Bardot when she was a young woman, and did that film, the original version of And God Created Woman. Getzman asked me to send him a tape. I sent him a tape, and he said, I really like that song, I Love You, George, this song of today. And he said, why don't we do that in the movie in a bar scene? And I said, fine. And I did it in the movie. First we had to record it again in the studio. So this was now my second version of this recording, which I never got my hands on. And I did it with my friend Busy McCarroll out in their studio in Cerrillos, New Mexico. It sounded great. Gary mixed it and did a great job of it. It appeared in the movie, but we didn't appear in the movie. That's the way it often works. But I did get a payment for that. And then over the years from BMI, the Song Performance Society, I got many thousands of dollars for the use of that song in the movie as it played in other countries. So this is, like I say, one of the two instances of making some substantial money in the music business just because I had this song in the movie. Thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate it. Then every now and then I had the thought, well, one day George Jones is going to die, and I'm going to wish I put this song out earlier. And then last year George Jones did die, and I wanted to put this song out, and I couldn't find any of the recordings of it I had done previously, and I did a third recording of it, and did a video, and it got some nice views, and people appreciated it. And in fact, I'll link to it at the end of this video. So that's, there you have it. I've gone on too long. But I did want to tell you that story and encourage you that there's money to be made in this business, even from getting one song in one movie that's not that well known.
Take George Jones. Please take him to that opera they call the Met. You ain't seen nothing yet till you've seen George in a pair of tights, singing with a woman in a helmet and horns all night, and Italian too. It'd be amazing what that country boy could do, singing Mozart, Bach, or Verdi on the big stage in New York. Give the man a mic and let him work. Yes, I love you, George, when you sing about a broken heart. The way your syllables never seem to finish once they start. The way you can take a single word and make it into one whole song. George, I hope that you keep singing loud and long. People say I could listen to him read the telephone book all day, but I'll go you one better. George, come to our town, please. Sing the dictionary backwards in Japanese. Hello, Mom. Have you heard George Jones's latest cheating song? I know you don't like country music, but don't you just love the way George sings the things that we can only say? Yes, I love you, George, when you sing about a broken heart. The way your syllables never seem to finish once they start. The way you can take a single word and make it into one whole song. George, I hope that you keep singing loud and long. People say I love you, dear, 100,000 ways, but when I say I love you, and now George, don't get me wrong, I'm talking about the way you sing those songs. 'Cause we love you, George, when you sing about a broken heart. The way your syllables never seem to finish once they start. The way you can take a single word and make it into one whole song. George, we hope that you keep singing loud and long. Yeah, we hope that you keep singing loud and long.